here where the halfway mark is, so that if we're trying to do something, you know, 2/3 of the way up, it's easier to tell when we know this is half, you know, kind of where that is. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to kind of make a curved line coming up, and that's going to be the top of that pot. And then this is going to be kind of curved out just a little bit this way, not a straight line, but a little bit curved. And then here it's going to follow the same line as the one above it. So I'm not really worried about my, oh, can you guys see this? Can you see my pencil marks or no?
Should we unmute ourselves so you can hear us?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good idea. You can see it? Okay. My box is small on mine, so I can't really see much. So I just want to make sure.
When you put it forward like that a little, we can see it more. When it's like how you have it right now, we can't see it. I think that's for us at least. Yeah, there you go.
Is that better, or is it the angle?
No, that's good.
There, it's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this top part of the pot is going to come over the bottom a little bit. So it's not going to come straight down. I'm going to bring my pencil in just a little bit and bring it straight down from there.
Where is your halfway mark on
My
the left
halfway mark
side?
is right about here.
Okay.
About here.
So you're about what?
So I was
5
about
inches
2/3
below the
way up,
halfway?
and I did come up a little bit higher over here.
Okay.
Good.
Does everybody have that?
Yep.
Okay. So then for the cactus, I'm going to come up to where I want this top here to be. So I'm going to put the top about right here, and then I'm going to come down. This is kind of like a barrel cactus, and then I'm going to come down the other side like that. And because it's more rounded on this side, I'm going to go a little bit more rounded over here. And then the flower is going to be at the end. I'm not going to draw that part in because we're going to do that at the end. But this I will draw in here. You guys see that?
Yep.
Okay.
Now, put that little bit closer again. Just 1 second. Okay, I got it.
So we've got the top of the pot is where we started, and then this line to make the bottom of it. And then there's the big dome here that's going to be the main cactus. Then this little arm, and then the baby arm, and then there'll be a flower at the end, which I didn't draw in yet. So now I'm just loading paints onto my plate. I'm starting with green, brown, and white.
And you picked a dark green rather than, you know, an emerald. Did you pick like a deep green?
Well, I have just, you know, like a regular hooker green, but I can add brown to it to make parts darker, and then I'll add, you know, some yellow to it to make some parts lighter.
Okay.
And that's how we'll kind of create our different shades.
A better brown, the raw umber or burnt umber?
Raw umber.
Raw. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mine's burnt umber. Is raw umber lighter?
I've got burnt.
Yeah, burnt umber is the darker one. Sorry about that. All right. So I'm going to start with the dark brown, and I'm going to start at this top. I'm following the top line of this pot right here.
What are you using, that 6 brush?
I'm using, yeah, a pretty big brush.
Pretty big brush.
Then I'm going to also do the same thing at the top of the pot. That's not the top part, the highest of the lower part. So I'm just doing kind of the top of this one and the top of this one in the dark brown. And then I'm gonna start, I still have brown paint on my brush. I'm gonna start to add some white to my brush. And so what's gonna happen is here they're gonna mix and it's gonna make a lighter brown. Right. By mixing it on here, it kind of blends it together and makes it look a little bit more natural. And then we'll add maybe a little bit of dark back up here. And then I'm gonna do the same thing down here. So on the top, I want my brush strokes to go left to right. And then down here, I want them to go up and down. Because this, it's somewhat curved to show the roundness of this. And then down here, it's gonna be straight lines. And a little more brown.
And you said you just added the white to the middle?
Yeah, with some brown paint already on my brush, I added the white to it. So now, if we want to go dark again, we're going to clean our brush off because we have a lot of white paint in there. So I'm going to clean that off, and then I'm going to kind of come back in with my dark and make sure that you really see this part here. And I want to make sure it's lighter up above it, where that top is. And then here, maybe add a little more variation there. This lightness here is going to kind of show wear. So if you want this to be like a really old weathered pot, then you're going to add more of that white. All right. How's it going? Does everyone, it's hard for me when I can't see what everyone's doing. I don't know if I should move on yet or not.
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, Zoom painting class is a whole new thing.
It is, yeah, this is my first one, so we'll see how it goes.
Okay, well, hold on a second. I ran out of paint, so.
You're doing great. You're doing great, Karen.
All right, no problem. So, well, if you're still working on that, then that's fine, just go ahead. And if you're ready to move on, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my green just the way it is out of the tube for kind of a base coat, and then we'll change it, you know, as we go. But I'm just gonna kind of fill in down here. My green is a little bit transparent, so it takes kind of a few coats, like nail polish. So the first one, I'm not that concerned about the exact color green. I just kind of want to get the canvas colored.
You should have all coverage of your paint, like no white canvas going through.
Well, there's white canvas on here. Can you see how it's very light compared to my brown?
Okay.
So that's what I mean by transparent. It just doesn't cover the canvas as well. See, when I come through with another coat, it's going to make it a lot darker. So I am going to want my strokes to be up and down. I'm going to kind of start up at the top and down. So I'm not that worried about getting a complete good coverage. I'm just kind of getting it filled in a little bit, because I'm going to come back to that later. All right, so that's roughly what it'll look like. I'm actually going to bring mine up a little bit more on the side here. Okay. I'm not really worried about what this end looks like because we're going to put the flower there. So I'm going to clean my brush. All right, so now you guys tell me where you're at. How's it going?
I'm still doing my green dome.
Okay.
Me too.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm making my background color. So my yellow is very dark, so I'm adding a lot of white, just a little bit of yellow to get this really nice light color, if you can see that. Can you see this yellow?
So that's going to cover the whole background?
So this yellow is going to cover the background, yeah. Yeah, so you're gonna wanna use a big brush for this. And I like to do the background now because then you can just come right up to the edge and not worry about it. And then when we're doing the green, we can make sure that, you know, the green comes over the background. So spread the paint out. So I paint very fast, so if you're not at this fast, that's okay. And you notice I'm not really leaving any space here for that flower because I'm just gonna put, this way I can kind of make the flower whatever shape and form I want and the background will be in the right place. So that's my reason for that. So I want to kind of come right up to that green, but if it's wet, I want to be careful that I'm not blending the colors together.
How do you get such good edges between your colors?
I just take the brush and like use this line to come right up against it. If you're closer to it, you can kind of see all the imperfections, but from there,
Okay.
yeah, I'm sure it looks more perfect from a distance. Yeah, that's my advantage in class. The kids always think mine's the greatest, but really, when you stand back, they all look much.
And what yellow did you use?
So mine's a cadmium yellow, so I added white to it.
Cadmium yellow. Okay.
Any yellow is fine. You just want to make sure it's pretty light. So since mine's so dark, I added a lot of white.
Okay.
I have lemon. I don't know how that'll be, but I'll probably put some white.
And if it looks too like bright citrusy, you could add a teeniest bit of brown to kind of tone it. It'll make it a little more yellow ochre-y.
God. Some white.
You guys still working on your background?
Yeah,
Yes.
getting there. Oop. Lost my picture.
Uh-oh.
I think we lost you.
You can't see Corinne?
Right. I can see you.
Who's saying
Maybe
that?
it's-
What, if I'm talking, can you hear me if I'm talking?
I can see you when you're talking, but not.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, I see you now. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Okay, perfect. All right, so let me know when you're ready to continue. Actually, it's funny that you mentioned the edges. So the yellow comes over the brown, but you can kind of see it, and I think that it looks better when the brown comes over the yellow. So I'm gonna just bring this out slightly so that the brown is covering that.
If I got a little bit of green on the background, can I go back after it's dry and cover it?
Yeah, absolutely. Once it's dry, yeah, it's very easy to cover.
Okay. Because I would normally wait a little bit between colors and let it dry a little bit more, or you don't do that?
It depends on the color. So like if I want them to blend, then they have to be wet. But if I want to layer it, then they have to be dry. So it just depends what we're going for. So here I was trying to blend more. Here I'm trying to layer because I really want this to look more solid than it is. So I'm going to grab a little bit more green. And then while I'm waiting for you, I'm just making a lighter green by taking some green and adding yellow to it. And then I'm making a separate darker green, which is the green with some brown in it.
Green with brown and green with yellow.
Yeah, so here I'm adding this really dark, muddy green is my dark one. This is the green out of the tube, and then this is once I've mixed it with yellow.
Okay.
All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw kind of where the spines are going to be. I don't know what they're actually called, but I'm going to call them spines. So the dark part is going to be the inset part. So that's going to kind of come down like this. So they're kind of curved lines.
And that's the green with the brown.
Yeah, yeah, that's going to be our dark. And then more paint. So kind of, I'm trying to make it look egg-shaped. So that's why my lines aren't completely straight. They're curved. So kind of like it's following the cactus down.
Okay.
And then I'm going to do the same thing here. Give it some darks. These are kind of big lines. That's okay, I'm going to fix that. That kind of covered the whole thing, but that's okay. I'm going to clean off my brush. Then I'm going to go into my lighter green. And that's a little too yellow. I should have switched to a smaller brush. So I'm trying to just kind of put these lines in between the other lines. It'll get more spread apart and kind of here where it's bigger. But this is a part of nature, so it's not gonna, it doesn't have to have any perfection, to it. The lines can kind of go how they go. You just want them to be somewhat curved so that it shows the shape, the roundedness of it. Okay, normally I change brushes and I didn't need to do that. All right, so I kind of come back in with my darks a little bit more.
So just really quick, when you made the dark green, was it lemon green? Is that right?
Say it again.
So the darker green that you're doing with the spines, that
Yep.
brown and green?
It's brown and green together, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and then And kind of come back in places with the regular green, wherever it needs to be a little darker. Bring my dark green down at the bottom. So the bottom here, I'm just making a little darker because if this were rounded, then there's going to be a little bit of shadow down here on the bottom, obviously. So. And then now I added a little white to my light green. So we can kind of have some different variations of this color. Okay, and then some white and clear. All right, I stepped away to clean my brush. I need some more light green here. Okay, so apparently I'm going pretty fast time-wise, so take your time if you're not here yet.
And then you did a little white.
I didn't do the white yet. I added some white into my green and yellow, but at the end, what I'm going to do, so the darkest lines are the part of the cactus here that are like inset. You know, it's the furthest part from you, and it doesn't have the sun shining on it the way the parts that come out further do. So knowing that, we're going to find where the light parts are, and then I'm going to add the white line on top of that.
On the light part.
On the light, yeah, you're going to find kind of the lightest part, and then you're going to do a really thin, with a small brush, a really thin white line.
Okay.
I need to water my paint down a teeny bit because it's getting too thick.
Are there going to be spines on that little knob on the side?
Yep.
Okay.
Two of those then.
So you can get that white to go on there without it drying underneath?
You mean the paint underneath?
Yeah, I mean, do you just put the white on top of that green that's still wet?
Well, my green is pretty much dry.
Oh, okay, well, mine's not yet.
Yeah,
So if yours is not, then you can wait. And if it's a little bit wet and they just mix a little bit, I think that looks good. But you don't, like here, do you see this is this line kind of, Yeah, if they mix a little bit, it's okay, but you don't want it so much that you
Yeah.
can't see it. I might take one or two of mine out. So I'm gonna put 4 in this one. And these are gonna be slightly rounded as well to show that roundness. All right, so now I have the white lines in, and anywhere that I don't like how it looks or I want to fix it up, I'm going to take this time to do that. So I'm making some more of the lighter green. So I can bring some of that where I want. And also there's a few spots where I can still kind of see through to my canvas. So this is the time that I want to make sure that I'm touching that up so that there's nothing left to see the canvas through. So when I put the white over it, I just covered a lot of the green and it was looking really dark. So by adding some of this back in, that's too yellow. Let's see how it looks. All right, so I was kind of going back and forth between the colors. So my brush was a bit dirty. So I just cleaned it so that I'm now kind of in the clean white. Just a few areas there. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of white paint on my brush. I'm kind of white, you want very, very light paint with this. And, whoa, actually, sorry, touch that up. All right, so then what we're going to do is we're going to just make X's along this line here. And you don't want them perfectly aligned each one. So you want to kind of space them out here. Oh, sorry, my dogs are going crazy. There's a car outside. So up here, they're going to be maybe a little bit closer together, and then as they come down, they're going to be maybe a little bit further apart because of the angle that we're looking at it. Oops, much paint. So you can see I'm really just freestyling this, you know, X part of it for these spines. Just trying to go a little bit thinner. Add a few more over here. Then I'm going to do the same thing on these. Try to make them a little bit skinnier. See how it looks good when they're kind of, you know, some have more, some have less. It's just looks more organically shaped that way. A lot of white, so I'm going to add a little more green back in. Okay, so here's where we're at. Everybody doing okay?
Yep. You're just lots faster than we are.
That's right. So then the last piece of this, we can touch it up at the end, but the last part is going to be the flower, and then we're going to bring that color kind of into this a little bit. So I'm using like a deep red, and I mixed it with a little bit of white to give me a pink, but I still want it pretty dark, and then I'm gonna add more white and make it lighter as I go. But I want the outside part here to be the darkest. So that's the outside of my flower. And then as I come in, I'm gonna add some lightness. Sorry, I was muted. All right. So I guess you didn't hear anything I said about the flower. So what I said was we're gonna take the darkest pink and do this bottom part, and then we're gonna add light, lightness to it by adding white as we come into this, rest of it, the front part. And I'm gonna switch to a real tiny brush, and I'm gonna come back into this pink. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a dot in the middle of each of the X's. Just a little tiny dot. If some of them are so small you can barely see them, that's fine. Just a teeny dot like that.
What color was the dot? Sorry.
It's pink. Okay. It's the darker pink color. So you can see I'm just kind of dotting it. I'm not trying to be super perfect with it. And now I'm about out of paint. I'll add a little more. All right. Like I missed a few over here. And then we've got the little ones here. All right, so I'm just touching up my white here. There's a few spots where you couldn't really make it out. All right, so there's, can you see my pink dots? They're real faint. So on the other one, I have another flower that's kind of coming down from back here. So if you want to add that in, you can. You don't have to. So I just want some white lines in here to kind of show the dimension and the movement of the flower. All right, how's it going? I feel like I didn't explain as much as I normally do. Do you guys have any questions?
Not right now.
Okay.
I want to see what all of yours look like.
I know, me too. I'm so curious. I've got a little too much white up here. Just because the light's like running a little bit. Maybe, yeah, try doing that. Let me turn the other one off. Oh, is that better? Is that better? Lighting wise?
Okay. Yeah, I need more white
More white?
in my flowers.
I find the trick is always learning when to stop.
Yes, that's true too. And that it makes it hard because I can't see yours, so I can't recommend anything. I can't suggest anything. Well, you know.
Well, let's see.
Okay.
Catherine and Laura.
You want to
can we
take a
see
minute to
yours?
show us what you have?
Oh,
Oh, that looks great.
beautiful. Catherine, can we see yours?
Okay, let me try this.
And
Laura,
Jordan and
hold
Glenn,
yours
if
back a
you-
little bit
Glenn's
further
able.
from the camera. I couldn't see the bottom. Oh, there it is. Yeah, that looks great.
No, wait, am I
Catherine,
on?
we didn't see yours.
Okay. What do I do?
On your
Can
phone?
Just pick up your canvas and put it in front of the camera.
Oh, I was trying to turn
Oh, there
my
we go.
camera around.
Oh, that's
Oh,
beautiful.
good. Perfect.
Well, let me turn it.
It looks so
Yeah,
I
that
don't-
looks good.
My flower looks bigger here than it does on this screen.
I was going to say, yeah, look, it does
I
look
think
a little
my
small, but
flower
that's
needs
okay.
to be bigger. I think my flower needs to be bigger, which I will do.
It looks like it's just budding, but it just didn't bloom all the way yet.
Right. It needs to bloom a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay, I will work on that.
Jordan, how about you? How are you doing?
Good. Just give me 1 second. I'm a little behind.
That's
That's
okay.
okay.
My husband's doing great.
Oh, you're both doing it?
Oh, awesome.
Great.
I'm putting my initials.
I love that you're both doing it.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm trying to put my initials on.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Great job.
That looks good.
I love it. I know, and Glenn doesn't have his camera, but Glenn, hopefully you're doing okay. Maybe you'll take a picture of it and you can email it to me.
Yeah, actually, if you could all put them up on the screen at the
That's
same
what I was gonna
time,
say.
I'm going to try
Take
to
a
get
picture.
a picture.
Me too.
No, I'm gonna finish my initials.
Can you all hold yours up at the same time?
Well, let's see. I got paint on my fingers right now.
Oh. Oh, that's
All right, Jordan,
There
can
we
you guys
go. Yeah,
hold yours up
stand
again?
back a little
Both of
bit.
you? You both have to do it. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Good job.
Awesome.
I still need a bigger flower.
Does anybody have any questions
I picked up
or anything they want me to show again?
I was going to say the same thing before we end. Does anyone have any questions for Corinne?
Do you spray your pictures afterwards with any kind of a sealer?
I don't, because if you're using acrylic paint, it has like plastic in it, so it's pretty waterproof.
Okay.
Can't, here's
Yeah.
my video camera.
As long as the paint's pretty thick, then you're good with that.
Okay.
Well, so I know some of you may have stuff to finish, but thank you, Corinne, for
You're
taking
welcome.
time out to do this with us. And all of you did such a good job. So
Yeah,
thank you
great
so
job, you
much.
guys.
It was very fun. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good. Oh, you're so welcome.
And have
Thank
a good
you.
night, everybody.